and welcome to today's Values Assembly, and here I am from my kitchen. Well, it's more of an almost kitchen, but we'll talk a bit more about that later. Before we begin though, let's get on with reminding ourselves of our values. So everybody, for each other we, every day we, to improve we, and together we will. Good job. Our everyday focuses are, and our Stukeley motto is, and our Stukeley curriculum is. Okay, I think I left you just about enough time to be able to respond there, everyone. Welcome to today's Values Assembly. Today's Values Assembly is on the same theme or a similar theme from the last 2 weeks. We had that music at the start. Do you remember that Vivaldi's The Four Seasons? Because we've been thinking about changes. We've talked about changes that we don't get a lot of choice in, like recent changes when we were told that we needed to stay at home more, to not go to work, not go to school and all of those things. And that was something that we were told to do, so we all stuck to it. Some of us liked those changes, some of us didn't like them so much. And we talked about some changes that were unexpected and some that are nicer perhaps than others. We also talked about the fact that at the moment lots of people are thinking about change and about the need for change in the world, about making the world a fairer place for everybody. And we talked about the things that we could do to make our school a fairer place for everybody too. This week we are going to still think about change, but we're going to think about changes that we choose, that we make for ourselves, so personal changes. Now, if we think back to the story of Aziz and Numi, I wonder if you could just quickly remind somebody near you what the overall theme of that story was. Okay, so in that story we have Aziz, and Aziz changes during the course of the story. We won't go into too much detail now, but he changes, and he changes his mind. He makes a personal decision that now is a good time for him to change, that he is going to be friends with Numi, and that he is going to weave her beautiful coloured silks into cloth. And that brings a whole new level of interest and excitement to his life once he finally made that decision. But it didn't just happen. He didn't just decide and then do nothing about it. He had to make the decision, and then he had to decide what he was going to do. So there had to be an element of action. Now today, I'm hoping that there will be a personal decision and also an element of action following on from our assembly. I wonder, during this period of time that adults often call lockdown, when we've been at home a lot more, I wonder if any of you decided that you were going to change something in your life, or you were going to do something a little bit different. Or if you didn't do that, if perhaps now you might think, well, what change would I want to make in my life? What would I want to do a bit different? Now, before you have a little more of a think about that, lots of adults did make changes, and lots of adults, well, they certainly talked about making changes. There were adults that thought, well, do you know, now is a really good time to get fitter, for example. So I'm going to try and get fitter. I'm going to go out running, perhaps. Some adults thought it would be really good to read more, so they're going to read more books. Some adults talked about learning a new skill. I know my daughter decided she was going to learn French. Some other adults didn't want to learn a new skill, but they wanted to kind of get even better at a skill they'd already begun. So today we're thinking about changes. Now, in our Stukeley motto, we always say getting our best even better every single day. And I was wondering or thinking, well, what does that look like? How do we get our best even better? How do we make changes? How do we get better at things in general? And I had a good think about that, and I've come up with some ideas. And the ideas are loosely based on what's going on in this kitchen. So I'm going to tell you a little bit more about it. So the first thing is, when we make changes, is we have to make a decision. We have to decide, what is it that's going to change? What is it that we're going to do? What are we going to try and get even better at? And that's the first thing. So when we moved into this house, it had a kitchen in here that we didn't particularly like. But we had to put up with it for a while and saved up some money. And then we decided now's a really good time to change our kitchen. So we went to the kitchen shop and we discussed what we wanted, and then the kitchen shop come up with a kind of a computer-based model of what our kitchen could look like. So we were like, yep, that's the kitchen that we want. So we had to work out what it was that we wanted to do. So that's always the first step. So if you want to make a change, if you want to do something new, you have to decide what exactly it is you're going to do. Okay, that's the first thing. But then, crucially, this bit is planning. You have to plan for change. Okay, so you have to make a change. In order to make a change, you have to make a plan for change. So we're going to go on the move a minute, and I'm just going to kind of swivel all the way around the kitchen, try and give you a bit more of a view, less of me, more of the kitchen mess. Look at this. Oh my goodness. There it is. Everything all everywhere. And it might look a little bit chaotic, but everybody, there is a plan. If I come this way over to this window, you're probably not going to be able to see very well, but there are plans stuck to the window so that Ron from Wix knows exactly what it is that he has to do. So he knows what he knows what the kitchen will look like at the end, because he can see the picture. Here I come again. Seamless, I know. He knows exactly what it is he's trying to build, and then he's made plans of where everything has to go. But more crucially, he had to make lots of plans as to what he was going to do and at what point. So he had plans of the order that he was going to do the kitchen jobs in. Okay. Now behind me, you can see a bare wall. Now on that wall are going to be some tiles. But before you could do the tiling, we wanted some new electricity points put in, and there's going to be a new oven going here. So there had to be some new electrics and things done. Now, it wouldn't have made much sense for Ron from Wix to put all the tiles up and then remembered, we need to put in new electric points, because you have to actually bury all the wires for the electrics behind the wall, and then you have to plaster over it, you see. So it wouldn't have made any sense for him to have put all the tiles up and then thought, oh no, I've got to put the electrics in. It would have all been in the wrong order. So it's the same for us. When we want to make changes, when we want to do new things or achieve new things, we have to plan properly so that we know exactly the order that things need to happen. So you have to make a plan for change. What is it going to look like? What are you going to need to do, and when? The other really important part is what we call discipline. Sometimes you might call that practice. We all know that practice makes perfect, because I'm sure lots of adults have said that to you. But you have to practice and you have to discipline yourself, because it can be really tricky. You might want to give up, but you have to discipline yourself to keep on going. Now, I was thinking about, what if I suddenly decided that I wanted to run a marathon? Now, a marathon is 26 miles, and that would be hours and hours of running, or in my case, probably months and months. But for most people, if they train for a marathon, they can do it in a number of hours. I couldn't just decide next week, I'm going to run 26 miles, turn up on race day, and off I go, and expect to actually be able to finish the race, let alone finish it in a matter of hours. I'd have to actually plan. I'd have to think, well, how am I actually going to get there? And then once I've planned it, I then have to discipline myself, because the likelihood is it's going to be months and months and months of regular practice, getting up early, going out for a run, running for longer periods of time, running further each time, all of those things. And I'm going to have to discipline myself, because there are going to be mornings where I get out of bed and it's raining, and you think, oh, do you know what? That's not great weather for running. I'm not going to bother going today. Or you wake up and you think, oh, I'm so tired still, and I just roll over and go back to sleep. So you have to discipline yourself. Sometimes it can be quite painful. Sometimes you don't really want to do the thing, but if you want to get better at it, you are going to have to practice, and you are going to have to discipline yourself. The other factor here is not only the discipline to actually get the job done, because, at this point, Ron might be a bit bored of doing my kitchen, but the discipline is he needs to actually finish it now that he's started. And thankfully, he did say he's going to come back tomorrow. So we're okay, everyone. Now, the thing is, it's not just the discipline. It also takes time. Now, I would have loved it if this kitchen would have been ready. I made the decision, new kitchen, clicked my fingers, and it was all done. If only that were true, but it really isn't. That doesn't work that way, and life doesn't work that way. So if we want to make a change, if we want to get better at something, if we want to learn a new skill, we have to accept that it's going to take time. Now, if you're going to run that marathon, it's going to take months and months of practice. It isn't just going to happen just like that. I heard that from somebody. They said that if you wanted to learn to play the harp, you know, that lovely, beautiful instrument that you play like this, really lovely. Someone said it takes a minimum, that means at least 7 years. Now, I'm assuming that that's true. And it is a beautiful, beautiful instrument in my opinion, but 7 years, that's a lot, isn't it? That's a lot of hard work and practice and discipline and a real time commitment, because you've got to be in it for the long haul, okay? It doesn't just happen. So time is really important. You have to give time to things if you want to make a change or if you want to get better at them. The other thing is you have to stay focused, okay? Because that helps with the discipline. It helps if you can focus on the end goal. So keep that picture up there of the end look to my kitchen, and that will keep, hopefully, my builder keep going so until he gets done. Remain focused. Think of the target. Where is it you want to get to? And then the last thing that I thought of was perseverance, because there will always be times that you want to give up. Usually there are times in a job where it's getting a bit complicated or even just a little bit boring. But you have to keep going because it's not quite finished yet. So perseverance is really important. You have to keep on going, even if it's difficult, even if it's boring, even if you'd sooner just give it all up. You have to keep on going, because otherwise you're never going to get to that end goal. So to sum up then, if there are things that you want to achieve, or there are things that you want to learn, or things that you want to get better at, getting your best even better every single day, then you're going to have to go through all those stages that we've talked about today. And my kitchen is in the mid stage of all of those things, of that particular change from a kind of half-built kitchen to a fully built kitchen, I hope. So perhaps next time when I film this assembly, perhaps I'll come back to the kitchen and you'll see the finished product. But for now, everybody, keep thinking, getting your best even better every single day. Think about the changes you can make, and I really look forward to hearing all about them. Take care, everybody. See you soon.
Fire up your laptop, get your tablet, watch on your TV. Get yourself comfy, this could take a while. Make a cup of tea. There'll be songs, there'll be smiles. You might hear a story. Tell your family, get your friends round for a Stukeley assembly.